Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before we get to our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Lauren Genzale on the podcast with us. She's a personal trainer and owner of Apex Fitness, LLC in Farmingdale, New York. She's also a bodybuilder, but most importantly, she's our current guest. Lauren, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what inspired and motivated you to make that change and adapt that healthy and fit lifestyle?
So I was working full time as a manager at Beach Bum Tanning, which is a big tanning chain out here on Long Island. And at that point, I had stopped going to college, and I kind of really had no hobbies. I was just working 40 hours a week, and I kind of felt like I was missing something. Um, so my now husband, but boyfriend at the time, he had mentioned being interested in doing some type of physique competition, but he didn't really get into it at all yet. And I was like, well, maybe that's something I would be interested in. Like, I didn't really, to be honest, I wasn't like ready to let him go do it and me not be part of it, because we were like together since we were 15. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm going to try this too and see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean that's such a great story, and I mean I love to ask the question that I really found out to be really true, and it was strange for me. But if you were to walk into a gym with 100 people, I mean, there's 100 different ways as to how those people got into shape. Whether it comes down to their diet, their nutrition, their training, how many reps they do, what exercises they do. There's so many little things that add up to the overall package that people end up seeing. And I always say, like, if you were to go up to someone and say, like, hey, what did you do for this body part to make it look the way that it does? What works best for them 99% of the time won't work as good for you. Was that a struggle for you getting started out, sort of realizing what worked best for your body?
You know what? I really didn't have a hard time in that aspect. Like I said, I was going to the gym every day, and I was like going in the aerobics room and doing the same exercises like all the
Mhm.
time. And my boyfriend was like, you're here every day, you're spending the time here, like, why don't you let me teach you like what you should be doing? So I agreed to do that, and honestly, it was so long ago now that I don't remember. I remember 2 days. I remember him showing me how to work out my shoulders, and I remember him showing me how to like squat
Mhm.
and work out my legs. Um, but once I started going and doing it, it just, I don't know how I learned the
Mhm.
rest. Like, it just happened. And then as I got deeper and deeper into it, I started following more people on Instagram and social media and watching workout videos and like really reading and learning. And I got more of an affirmation that I was doing things that these professional bodybuilders were doing than necessarily learning
Mhm.
what to do.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, wait, I've already been doing this. That's really cool. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just so fascinating. I always like to compare it to sort of being like a mad scientist where you're just always trying to find new ways as to how you get your look and how you find out what works best for you. But I mean, I love to ask because everyone's genetics are different and everyone's answer is different for this question. But when everyone gets started, they always have that one body part that really seems to take off, that I mean, they don't have to train as much. And then they have that one body part that really lags behind that they have to train to overdrive. What were those body parts for you when you got started?
So my back right away like took to working out, and I was able to build my back quickly. My glutes and my hamstrings, I could not grow for the life of me. It took me years to even activate them properly. Um, I had I lived in Hawaii for a couple of months. And I went to one physical therapist and one time, and she took a look at me and she said, your knees are turning in, and I have flat feet. So what I learned was that unless I'm holding my arches up, it turns out my whole kinetic chain. So my knees and my ankles end up turning out also, and that activates my glute and my hamstring. When my feet are rolled down and then my ankles roll in and my knees roll in, which now that I'm aware of this, I see people with this problem all the time. they'll never activate those muscles. So once I learned this from her, this one time that I went, after that, I completely was able to change my legs.
Yeah. I always say, I mean, I'm 6'3" myself, so my lower body too is also just shot. Where I mean, I have to train into overdrive. I used to be a pitcher too, so I mean, I had that long, lengthy, pitcher's body. So yeah, that has always just been a huge, huge hassle for me. But how long into your training before you realize, like, hey, I could do a bodybuilding show? Like, how long did you prep before you finally, decide to like get ready for a show?
My first prep was 20 weeks. It took me 20 weeks. I did bikini, and now I look back and I'm like, I mean, I looked good, but not, you I couldn't go from a regional show into a national show and do well. But the standards at that time in 2014 were definitely different in
Mhm.
general. Um, but I needed more time before I could step on a national stage.
Yeah, and that's why I mean your first show is always just a huge experience, and just a huge change, and it also brings me into I mean I love to talk about just a lot of people don't realize just being able to get into the shape that's necessary to go on a prep takes so much hard work and dedication that so many people just don't realize that. But going on a prep, that is notching things up to an extreme when it comes to I mean your food's got to be perfect, your training's got to be perfect. You can't really miss out at all. Was that a rough adjustment for you, sort of going from that, normal life to going into that prep life, which where everything is just so minute and scientific?
You know what? I really, at the time, I didn't have that hard of a time. I knew what I wanted, and I was young and didn't have a kid, and I had my set schedule with work, so I was able to plan when I was going to the gym. I didn't have any like distractions, or it was easy. Like, and it is a piece of cake compared to
Mhm.
now. I'm like, oh, I wish I was 24 again.
I'm 24 right now, so yeah.
Oh, you have so much life ahead of you.
Oh.
That's how anybody who's like under 26, I'm like,
Mhm.
take advantage of your life.
That believe me, talking to so many people on here that do have the kids and do have other things, I do take that for granted. I did take that for granted, but now I'm just like, yeah, I got to live it up the next few years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Take advantage of
Yep.
like do whatever you can, go travel,
Yep.
do things that you enjoy. Like,
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more on that. But I also, I mean, being such a pale Midwesterner myself, from the upper Midwest, I mean, I have that skin where, I could have an 8 pack, but the sunlight would still reflect off of my skin where it's just so blinding for people where it's kind of like when they open up the ark at the end of Indiana Jones and everyone's face melts. But yeah, it's similar to that. But I always like to ask, because I've never been tan a day in my life, what is that feeling like for you when you get to put that tan on? Because we hear all about all these people always saying, like you see muscles that you never even knew that you had. Everything really seems to pop out. What is that feeling like for you?
um, it's definitely nice to have a tan for a couple days, even if you look crazy in that tan. Um, yeah, you see everything so much clearer, and like really, you're in the prime of looking your best, and you get the tan, and it's just like this is what I worked so hard for. You get to appreciate it for for the 2 days that it is that
Mhm.
you're that color, and then it starts to come off terrible.
Yep. Well, and I always tell people like one of the things that isn't talked about is that you can't really sit on anything, you can't really stand on anything, you can't really lean up against anything. You got to
Yeah.
basically be a statue. So it's just another thing that really shows to the dedication. But also, I mean, just from looking at some of your photos on Instagram, some of your videos, you also get incredibly lean for your shows. I mean, just you have an incredible leanness when you're posting, like those posing updates and what you do. I mean, it just gets super lean. So do you even see that much of a difference when you put a tan on? Because I was gonna say sometimes when you post those videos and you're without a tan, you already look like lean enough to get onto a show.
Yeah, you know what? I do miss looking like that
Mhm.
because I don't right now. But
You still look better than 99.9% of the women on the planet, let's be honest.
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
yeah.
it. I do like to stay lean enough where like the tan should just be like an accent for
Mhm,
you. It shouldn't make or break you
mhm,
when you're going into a show. So you know, having the tan on isn't so crazy for me, but it is nice to just like have pictures and see it clearer and
mhm.
everything. Um, but yeah, if you're going into a show and you're relying on that tan to show the lines that you need, you're not ready.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I always say this leads me into the most surprising thing that I've learned from doing this podcast. I mean, I would have never guessed it in a million years, and I don't think the general public would have guessed it in a million years. Is that for a lot of these competitors, the hardest thing for them is posing. It's harder than their diet, it's harder than their training. I mean, for so many people, I always compare it to you can be a great driver, you can never be a perfect driver. You can be a great poser, you can never be a perfect poser. It's something that's always ever evolving. Was that ever a struggle for you posing wise? Because for so many people that can be very, very tough. And what has your overall experience with posing been like?
Okay, so I was the first few years that I competed, I did bikini.
Hmm.
And I really did not enjoy it. I liked being lean, I liked competing, I liked dieting. Um I did not like acting a certain way on
Hmm.
stage for bikini and doing the bikini poses.
Hmm.
And when I did my first national show for um, Universe, I ended up realizing that I was bigger than some of these girls. They were stepping on stage at 100
Hmm.
pounds, and I was like 107, 108 pounds at the time. And I was like, I can't continue bikini unless I like stop working out my back, stop working out my shoulders, stop working out my arms
Hmm.
because I was getting borderline too muscular. And I just decided that my next show, I was going to grow into it and do figure.
Hmm.
And I love posing. I love doing, I actually did last season, I did physique and figure
Hmm.
because I love to pose so much that I wanted to have a posing routine.
Hmm.
So that really, those poses didn't come hard to me. Like
Hmm.
they came natural to me. Where bikini, I still can't do it.
Well, I was gonna say, just looking at some of your progress videos that you do, I mean, you need to do a front double in your routine because I mean, you have such amazing arms that I mean, if you're just doing figure and you're just going like this and just doing your core turns, I mean, that really doesn't do you justice. But out of all of your poses that you do, what would you say is your favorite pose and least favorite pose?
um, you know what? I really I like all the poses.
Hmm.
I mean, when you're in that when you're that lean and you're ready, all the poses look good.
Hmm.
You're not like, oh, this one's,
Yeah.
this one doesn't look like you look good. I do enjoy doing a side try, and I do enjoy doing a front or a back double
Hmm.
because I know they're my
Hmm.
strengths. Um, my weakness, I would say, for my last show was my legs. And this, whatever show I end up doing next, that's not going to be the case.
Yep. Well, and I always say one of the most popular answers we get is abs because I mean that's just kind of such an awkward pose to do. I mean you got to like get everything right. It's really something where just the timing is right. But for a lot of these competitors too, the most important thing with posing that they really struggle with is making it look effortless. I mean because if I was up there, I mean I'd be probably grinding my teeth to dust, just trying not to grunt and just trying to keep that grin and that smile. So yeah, that's definitely a huge struggle. But my most popular question that I love to ask, all my guests, whether they be, up and coming musicians, my bodybuilders, or any of the professors that I have on for the research in their medical field. I always ask, the bands, what's that feeling like performing live on stage and, playing in front of all those people? That also applies to my bodybuilders. What is that feeling like for you when you get to go on stage and, show off all of that hard work that you've worked months upon months for?
I was definitely super nervous, especially before I went on for physique because there's so many poses that you have to do for physique. It actually made figure feel like a
Hmm.
breeze. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm just turning front, side, back, like cool. Um, Physique, I was super nervous for, and then I was super nervous to do my routine,
Hmm.
even though like I was excited and that's what I really wanted to do. Um, just because I didn't really think it through before I had made my routine. I did a split in my routine, which I didn't think about how dry I would be and how stiff my muscles would be. And I didn't know if it was going to happen. I was like, I could end up cramping up on stage right now and just failing
Hmm.
miserably. And, God was with me and it didn't happen and the routine ended up looking great. But it's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Like you had worked so hard for so long, all for these couple of seconds, and if you mess it up, you're not going to place how you want it to.
Yeah, I mean, it really is just sort of the moment of truth and the culmination of, all those months upon months of just that hard work. But now we go to one of our fun questions. What is your go-to post-show meal?
You know what? Anything. I mean, I am a cookie monster. I love cookies and I love cheeseburgers, and that's usually what I go for.
Yeah, that's a great one. I always say if I ever compete, I would just rent out a Five Guys for the night and just pig out and just say, you know what, here's $1,000, make as much food out of it as possible. Just go to town and just eat until I pass out. Basically, would basically just be my motto. But that
I
also,
tried. I tried for my last show. I was like, I'm not gonna go crazy because I've done a bunch of shows,
mhm,
and I'm like, I'm not gonna go crazy this time. Like, you just end up getting so sick, your
mhm,
stomach hurts so bad, and you swell up from the water retention and the salt so much. And I'm pretty sure I think this time I was pretty good. Like, I didn't go crazy.
mhm,
I went, I had my meal, I had a cookie, I had a piece of candy,
mhm.
and then the next day was actually Easter.
Ooh,
So it was perfect. I was like, okay, like I waited for that.
mhm.
Um, and it was okay. I didn't blow up as bad as I have in the past from it.
And that leads me into probably the most important question that I'll ask, because I mean, I love to ask this question because it isn't talked about as much on Instagram as I think it should be. But for so many people, they don't realize that that look is not sustainable that you guys have when you go on stage. I mean, so many people have come up to me and said, like, I always thought that that was like, a look that you could maintain 365 days out of the year, but that is just not a look that you can keep. Was that ever a struggle for you starting out? Sorry, realizing like, hey, that I mean, I'm not going to be able to keep this look that I've worked months upon months to maintain and try to keep. Was that ever a difficulty for you, and how have you sort of dealt with that as your journey has continued?
So I actually am dealing with that more now
Mhm,
than I did in the last couple of years. I actually maintained it for years. Like,
mhm,
I was shredded all the time. I was on my cardio all the time. This year was very different for me. Back in June, I had something pretty traumatic happen in my life, and my whole entire life changed. And I had to start working. I was going through a bunch of stuff. The gym wasn't my priority. Even though I was working at the gym, like making the 40 minutes for cardio like
mhm,
wasn't happening. My diet wasn't on point anymore. Like, I started eating less protein and more other carbs and fats, and just my body composition totally changed. I went from being completely shredded to like barely being able to see a difference between my shoulder and my biceps.
mhm.
And I was like freaking out. And I was able to get it back somewhat, but I haven't been striated and shredded since last June.
Mhm.
So now I'm at a point where I really want to start a prep again. And I just put the gym together, and I've had all this other stuff going on. And again, like, my dieting fell off a little bit. I was barely even eating. And then when I would eat, it would just be whatever I could grab. And now I'm at a point where I'm eating steadily again and training steadily. I'm not doing that much cardio, but I want to get in shape. Summer's coming. I want to compete again. So I'm ready to like turn it up a
Mhm.
notch.
Absolutely. And before we talk about the gym that you open up, that I'd love to talk to you about, I always love to ask these two questions that I ask, all of our health and fitness guests when they come on the show. So for the first one, I mean, when I went to college and started getting, bigger and stronger, there were so many positive things that happened with that, but there's also a negative thing. You're going to get asked to move a lot of people's furniture. You're going to get asked to open a lot of pickle jars. I mean, I'm still home with my parents for the next few months before I move out. And, every time they come home with groceries, I basically lift the car into the driveway and bring the groceries in. Has that been a
Yeah.
similar experience with you? I mean, especially when you're leaned down. I mean, it's a lot easier now in the winter to sort of cover up and not really show off the gains as much. I mean, believe me, I know that being up in Minnesota. But has that been a similar experience where people just take one look at you and then just assume that you can do favors for them?
You know what? I really haven't had that many people ask me to do stuff. Generally, if I see somebody like struggling with something, or like if I see my parents or like anyone really carrying something that I know that I'm able to carry that wouldn't be a struggle for me,
Mhm.
I kind of like offer a hand.
Yeah.
Um, I have had, putting my gym together.
Mhm.
We've had deliveries for equipment where just me and my partner, Amanda, were like at the truck waiting for them
Mhm.
to like unload it. And they looked at us like, okay, where's your help? And we were like, no, we're gonna do
Yeah.
this. And they like laughed. They're like, you guys, there's like, you know, 2,000 pounds worth of stuff on this truck. And we're
Mhm.
like, yeah, like we're gonna do it. And we've done, and they're like, I can't even believe that
Yeah.
you two little girls are carrying this.
And that's awesome because for me, I also it's a double edged sword because I'm 6'3", so if I didn't have any muscle at all, I mean, just walking around, people would be like, "Oh yeah, tall guy can do it." So yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I got to a point where I just had to realize, like, hey, just get it over with. I mean, people, you're really helping out a lot of people. So I mean, that's what I got out of it. But now my favorite question to ask out of all the questions, I mean, and again, this is a multi-million-dollar idea for anyone out there who's thinking about ways to make money. But when it comes to clothes for fit women, fit men have their own problems when it comes to clothes. Fit women have their own problems when it comes to clothes. I always love to say, for fit women, your clothing options can be very limited, especially if you have big, broad shoulders. Dresses aren't your best friend. Jeans are another thing that we hear of all the time. Where I mean, you're supposed to have a really well built lower body and then a small waist. I mean, jeans are not made that way. What have been some ways and strategies that you viewed to sort of offset the fact that your clothing options are going to be limited?
You know what? I really haven't had too many limitations in my past. Like, I definitely feel a little bit uncomfortable in clothes now
Mhm.
because even though I had larger muscles than most people, I was so shredded that I was still so tiny.
Mhm.
But now that I have big muscles and I have like a layer of water and body fat over it, I definitely feel, I really haven't even had to wear a dress in the last like 2 months. But if I had to right now, I'd be like,
Yeah.
like I'd kind of be dreading it. As far as jeans go, I did wear a pair of jeans on my birthday, and they fit. I That was the first time I had worn jeans in months.
Mhm.
I do not wear jeans. I have a whole drawer full of them. I hate them. If I'm not in gym clothes, I am not happy.
Yep. No, yeah, I completely understand. I mean, I always like to tell the similar story where when I came home from college after a year and I'd put on about 15 pounds of muscle. I went to a friend's wedding and I bent over and I heard a zzz. Now, luckily, it was the shirt inside the suit, so I lucked out big time on that one. But that is when I realized, hey, I really, really need to, maybe upgrade my wardrobe. So yeah, that was definitely my opening and my wake up call for that. But now, I mean, I love this. I love that you started your own gym. So now we're going to talk about that for a little bit. So Apex Fitness, what inspired you to start your own gym? What was your motivation for that?
So, this traumatic thing that happened to me in June kind of pushed me from being a stay at home mom to having to go work. My husband kind of like instilled in me, don't do something you don't want to do,
Mhm.
you know? Uh, so I kind of, that was something that I totally appreciated, and I took it and ran with it. Like, I wasn't about going to get, a 9 to 5 job.
Mhm.
So I buckled down and finally got my personal training certificate, um, which I wanted to do for so long, but I just kept putting it off because I already know how to train and I just didn't want to sit down and read the book and take the test and do all this stuff. But now I was forced to, so I did it. And I started training out of a really popular gym called Unique Fitness out here. And my partner Amanda also was training there. Um, it's a great gym. We both loved working out there. However, in all these big gyms, like the cuts for trainers is just absolutely absurd. Um, so she was paying an insane amount of rent. She was subcontracted out of there. And I was an actual employee and they were taking 60% of my
Wow.
cut.
That's insane.
So I was making like, $20 an hour, and you have to already have a built clientele. Like,
Mhm.
if you have 3 or 4 people, $20 isn't gonna cut
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
So I stood there, I grew my clientele. I went on like this for a little while. I had hummus on the side, and we both were just starting to realize that, like, how long can we do this for?
Mhm.
Like, this is what we love to do. This is our profession. I don't plan to do something else. Like, where's the line? Like, how am I going to succeed in this? And, what am I going to do in 10 years?
Mhm.
Am I still going to be at this gym in 10 years? Or am I going to be in an LA Fitness in 10 years, getting all my money taken away from me? Like, what's going to happen with my future? So we basically got a really awesome opportunity. She knew somebody that works for KK Athletics, and they had a soccer store in the space that we're renting now. They had it 2 years ago, and it's been vacant. So she was like, listen, like, I have an idea, like, come check it out with me, see if it's something you're interested in. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. So I went to go see it with her, and I was like, okay, like, there was a big space in the front. Uh, there was two extra little rooms. I saw potential for a kid's room because I have to have that for my daughter. And they had a weight room that already had some equipment in it, and it already had mats laid down. So I was like, all right, let's do this. So we wanted to move forward with it, and the landlord just like stopped answering us randomly. So that kind of like killed it for a while, like months. Like, we didn't hear anything. The dream just kind of like fizzled, where we felt like we lost the opportunity,
Mhm.
And then a mutual friend ran into them, and they were like, oh, what happened with Lauren and Amanda? I thought they were going to rent the space. And the landlord was like, yeah, I don't know, whatever happened. So our mutual friend was like, hey, I think you should contact them. They're still interested
Mhm.
in you guys taking that space over. This was back in September. So we did. And then we moved forward,
That
and we decided that we were going to do it.
I mean, that's awesome, and it just shows, I mean, just staying positive in those times when, especially like when you were talking about, like, am I going to be doing this for the rest of my life? I mean, just having that positive mindset and always just being willing to jump on those opportunities, because some people would look at that opportunity and they'd say like, no, what, no, it's too risky. But I mean, just having the guts to pull that off. I mean, bravo to that, because so many people, I think, especially nowadays, would definitely take the high road and just say, like, hey, I'll just stick with my regular job where I know I have security. But yeah, just jumping into that is amazing, and I really really appreciate that. So what was the inspiration behind Apex Fitness? What was the inspiration behind that title?
So we actually like had our concepts
Mhm.
and everything before we had a name, and we didn't know what to call it. So we actually like went in a thesaurus and we're looking up like different
Yep.
words. And I was sending her some, she was sending me some, and she sent me Apex. I was like, Apex, like, I like that. So we found out the definition was to be at the peak of, or to be the best at something, or to climax. And we were like, that we wanted a strong word, something short, because generally, people aren't saying, oh, I'm going to Unique Fitness, or I'm going to Profit Fitness, or they just say the first word. They're
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm going to Unique. Oh, I'm going to LA. Oh, I'm going. So we wanted it to just be Apex.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I'm going to Apex.
Yeah. Then
So that's how it came about.
and that's awesome. And I love to ask, in your opinion, what differentiates your gym from all the other gyms? When you guys were designing the gym, what did you want to make it so that it would be different from the other gyms, so that it would draw people's attention and say like, oh, hey, I could go work out there as opposed to working out, at an LA Fitness or, a Lifetime or any of those other chains?
So our gym is just totally different in general because it isn't a big chain gym. It is. We have an LA Fitness right down the block, and we have Unique Fitness down the block as well. Um, our gym is. We have a personal training studio with equipment, and it's very private. And we have a separate space, which is a class space. It's like a boot camp style group fitness section. So when you walk into Apex Fitness, that is the group training room. So we take clients in there as well, but somebody isn't going to just walk into the gym and be like, oh, I need a membership, and go work out by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah,
So there isn't real there are a couple places like ours on Long Island, but there isn't a lot. In our area, we are the only one.
well, and there's not a lot that are run by people like you though, too. So I mean, and obviously, I
That's
mean,
true.
yeah. So that's what really differentiates it too. But I mean, I always love to ask when you're starting out, just like when I was starting out with this podcast. I mean, you always people always go through a period where you might see results early on when it comes to clientele or people coming in, but then there's always for any chain there's always going to be that little stagnant period. What are some ways that you still stay positive and still stay motivated when you do reach that stagnant period where I mean you can't, because you can't be growing constantly forever. So what are some ways that you guys have sort of made so that I mean it's like we might not get as much business as we did like the first few weeks. How do you guys still maintain that positivity? Because I've had so many people who have tried new businesses like that, and then they say you always have that feeling where you're like, oh, I could just go back and work my old job because let's face it, it was sort of a steady paycheck or it was something like that. But what are some ways that you guys have used to sort of just say like, what, hey, this is our dream, this is our goal, let's just stick with it?
So we're actually so new that we haven't had that point yet. We're
Mhm.
actually like, how can we grow
Yeah.
and how are we going to get people in the door?
Hmm.
So we've only been open. This is our we're at like the 2.5, 3 week mark
Hmm.
actually. So we're slowly getting people to sign up for classes. We offer three different options. You could walk in for a class
Hmm.
for $15. You can do an unlimited membership for the month and
Hmm.
take as many classes as you want. Or you can do a package where you buy 10 or 20 sessions and you can just come as you want.
Yeah.
And they never expire.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's actually a good plan because all these gyms like they have an expiration date for if you buy like 10, 20 classes. Like, yeah, but if you don't come in within like a year or a couple of months or whatever like that, like you can't use it. So yeah, that's really really cool. And also, what's the address? Where can people find this gym if they're in the Farmingdale or just in the New York area in general?
So we are 751 Horse Block Road in Farmingville. We are attached to KK Athletics.
Mm-hmm.
KK Athletics is a giant indoor sports arena.
Ooh.
So
Mhm.
that was one of the reasons we wanted this location. There are just hundreds to thousands of kids practicing or playing games, and their parents are hanging around for an
Mhm.
hour,
Yeah,
2 hours,
that's
three
a
hours.
that's a genius idea actually when you think about it. Yeah.
So, having something to do while their kids are there, because it's just there's not much you can do in an hour or an hour and a half. Seemed like a really good opportunity for us to try to get those parents to come work out during that time.
Yeah, and that really, like I said before, it's a genius idea. And one of the things that I struggle with, and because I was a business major in college, and I remember one of my professors talking to me, he said, if you start your own business, that's a huge difference between working 9 to 5. Because 9 to 5, I mean, as soon as you get off the clock, you don't have to think about your job. You're done with your job for the day. I mean, you can just go home and relax. But if you start and or own your own business, I mean, it's a 24/7 job. You're constantly, if you're not even working, you're constantly thinking about it. There's thoughts in the back of your head like, how can I make this better? What's this going to look like? How am I going to do this? What have been some ways that you've used? I mean, I know you've only been open for a few weeks, but what are some ways that you still use? I mean, even right now, that you're able to separate that work life balance where you're not constantly thinking about your gym?
Um, well, I kind of, my gym, I'm home right
Hmm.
now. Like I am sitting on my bed,
Yeah.
but I have the kids' room there, which has a couch, a TV, a table. I have a microwave, and I have my food there and a fridge. So, like, I actually feel very at home there, almost more than I do here
Yeah.
because this is my parents' house. Um, that's like my space that I pay for that I feel comfortable in. So, like, I don't mind being there all the
Hmm.
time. I don't really the way our schedule is set up is we have a few classes in the morning at 9:30. Then we have classes at 5 or 5:30 and 6 and 6:30
Hmm.
depending on the day, and that's it.
Wow.
So like the other times during the day are personal training clients that we have ourselves, and whatever
Yeah.
else we want to do,
That
we could do.
that's awesome. And again, I guys, I highly recommend that you go and check this place out again, Apex Fitness. I'll leave a link to it down below, and I'll leave the address down below. I highly recommend it. But now, one of the questions that I've been dying to ask you, I mean, ever since we got started, because it's been proven to be very, very true throughout our podcast, is what is that like being a mom as well as as well as, living this healthy and fit lifestyle, because as we've seen earlier on, I mean, it can be a very hard thing to do. I mean, your time is very, very strained, and you always have to be doing something. I mean, having a kid and being a mom, especially being a mom, I always say, is a full-time job in and of itself. And then you have, your gym that you still have to take care of, and you have, your other job. How are you able to maintain that without losing your sanity, basically?
Um, I don't know if I have any sanity left, but but you know, I kind of don't have a choice.
Mhm,
I am doing everything by myself right now. Um, I have a husband. He's just away right now.
mhm,
And, we put this gym together. We had a small budget. We had to work our jobs, train our
mhm,
clients, and put this gym together by ourselves. Like, we did absolutely everything. We put all the equipment together. We laid the turf. We put the matting down, which was the worst project ever. We painted all the walls. The ceilings were so high. The painting took the longest out of
mhm,
everything. Um, and she had to come. Like, she had no choice.
mhm,
I brought her iPad. We played with her and joked around with her in between. It was a rough 6 weeks.
and that's just amazing. And I always like to say, what is that feeling like, though, knowing that, like you said, you did this yourself with your business partner? I mean, you guys did everything. Does that really just add to your confidence and really just boost yourself, just saying, like, hey, I can do this and I actually accomplished something really huge?
You know what? I definitely feel like I can do anything now.
Mhm.
Like, literally,
Yeah.
like, I've become a carpenter, a builder, a painter, a mom, freaking, I don't even know. We did
Yep.
everything. So nothing really nothing's intimidating to me at this point
Hmm.
at this point. But it does feel super awesome to go put my key in the door and come and go as I want to and do whatever I want.
Yeah, and I mean,
Great.
that is so amazing. And now, also, I mean, being a personal trainer, I always love to ask this question because it's one of the myths that I love to bust. I mean, it's gotten better the last 5 years with Instagram. Don't get me wrong, but there is still a significant amount of women that have that fear. If they touch one weight, they're just gonna hulk out. Put on 50 pounds of muscle. And I always say to that, sign me up. I'd be your first client. Then that person would be such a hot commodity because they found the secret that so many people are looking for. But did you ever have that fear when you're getting started? And I know, being a personal trainer, you probably hear that all the time. What is your response to that whenever someone brings up that concern to you?
Um, it's like laughable, and I just have to comfort them and tell them that it's just not gonna
Mhm,
happen. It takes so long, especially for females, to build muscle just because of the way our hormones are. Um, you have to be eating in a surplus of protein, of carbs, of everything, and you have to be consistent for so long.
mhm,
Like, it's not easy to build muscle, and it's not something that comes quick. Ladies need to weight train. It keeps you young. It makes you stronger. Cardio isn't enough. But at this point, I mean, it really should be taught in school, health and nutrition and how to eat properly. And it's just not.
mhm,
People are so ignorant to how they should be eating, how they should be exercising, and like the pharmaceutical companies and doctors and everybody and just all the fast food industries and stuff, like, people are just so uneducated,
mhm.
and they just trust whatever a doctor tells them or whatever. They think the pharmaceutical companies have their best interests. Like,
Yep.
it's a business. Like, they
Mhm,
don't have your best interests. You are the only person that's going to take care of you. You only get one body. So if you don't take care of it and something goes on you, that's it. You're not going to get another liver. You're not
yep.
going to get, maybe somebody will give you a kidney, but you're not going to get another heart. Like, you need to take responsibility for your body, be as healthy as you can be, do as much research as you can, and keep the longevity of your body going. Otherwise, you're going to age so
Mhm.
quickly. You can get cancer and you can get all these different diseases from all the foods and processed things that we eat. And unfortunately, like, it sucks and people don't know.
Mhm. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And I mean, I always love to tell the story of when I was in college, getting bigger and stronger. One of my really good friends, she came up to me and said, like, Ryan, I'm seeing these changes in you. I want to go to the gym with you and I want to work out with you, but I'm afraid I'm going to get too bulky. And I told her, I said, look, the amount of weight that you carry in your purse when we go out to clubs or when we go out to eat weighs more than 90% of the dumbbells in the gym. And you're not getting an ounce of muscle from lugging that thing around 24/7. And that's what really convinced her. And then she went in there and I mean, she really enjoyed it. But the number one thing we touched based on it, like 5 minutes ago, but I love to bring it up is especially for women because it impacts them so much more than it does men in my opinion is the confidence that it gives you. I mean, the confidence boost is so huge, and it's one of those things that I love to say is one thing that you can take from working out and transfer it to every aspect of your life. We kind of know that, I mean, you had the confidence, you were able to build your gym, but what are some other ways in your life that, I mean, that confidence has really impacted you because it is something that you can apply to everything in your life?
I mean, I definitely took the discipline of competing, and just competing in general really taught me that like you are capable of whatever you put your mind to. Um and my husband also really instilled in me like you're capable of doing whatever you want to do if you really try.
Hmm.
Um, my family, not so much. My family is very like, go to college, go get a job, get a county job,
Hmm.
like work 9 to 5, have benefits, have all this, you
Hmm.
know,
Yep.
whatever. And I'm just always been like the odd bird. And I was like, that's not for me. It's not going to happen. That's not what I want to
Hmm.
do. If I don't want to do it and I don't like something, I don't do it.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I only have so much time and I'm not going to waste it.
I couldn't agree more with that one. For yeah, you're totally right on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's, I definitely didn't think the same way before got into the fitness
Mhm.
industry. I was working a full time 40-hour job, and like, I was cool. I always just like was able to support myself and do whatever I wanted to do with that. But I had nothing going further. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't have a dream or an aspiration. I was just cool with where I was at. But once I got into the fitness industry and started setting goals for myself, the goal setting like didn't stop.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was like, okay, I achieved this. Now I need to achieve this. Now I need to achieve this. Now, and it just kind of kept going. And I'll always set a goal, where before I was here, I didn't have one and I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Oh, and I mean, like I said, that's just one of the main benefits that goes with the confidence. So yeah, I mean that is so huge. But now we go to our audience favorite and our my personal favorite, the little questionnaire. We're going to ask Lauren here about a dozen or so health and fitness questions that we ask all of our healthy and fit guests, and we're going to see how her answers stack up to everyone else that we've had on the show. So for our first
Alright.
question, what is your go-to workout song at the moment?
You know what I really like lately? Way Too Fly.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't even know who's singing. I don't know who it's by.
It sounds familiar, so yeah, I definitely, yeah, I think yeah, if I know who that is, I'll say it on later. But I mean, for me, I'm one of those old school like '80s pop music or '80s cheesy music, just really pumps me up. But I have a problem. Like I work out at home because I have a gym at home, which is nice. I mean, it's not like a gym. It's just got some equipment that I use. But so like 75% of the time I work out there. But when I go to a regular gym, I'm one of those people where I gotta wait for the beat to drop. So if I'm doing like a lat
Yeah.
pull down, I'll be waiting there for like 30 seconds, and I've had people come up to me and say, like, "Hey, are you all right? Did you like pull out your back or something like that?" And I'm like, "Nope, just waiting for the beat to drop." So I am known throughout my gym as the guy that waits for the beat to drop. But yeah, I mean that's definitely my thing. But now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could work out with any celebrity, who'd it be?
I could work out with any celebrity. Um, you know what? I really like didn't think about it, but I guess if I had to work out with a celebrity or a bodybuilder.
It can be either one, doesn't matter.
All right. Well, I would definitely work out with The Rock.
Yep.
Um, but I think I would also want to work out with Roelly Winklaar.
Roelly Winkler. That is a good one too. That's the first Roelly Winkler that we've heard on the show.
He's like my favorite
Mhm.
bodybuilder. I'm such a Roly fan.
Yeah.
I think his physique is incredible. It's just on another level.
Mhm.
And I was super happy to see him do better this year.
Well, let's be honest. With a name like Roly too, I mean, how do you not like the guy? So yeah,
True.
absolutely. But now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could train any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, you know what? Like I would I wish I like kind of knew
Yeah.
about this so I could have time to think
Well,
about
that's why
it.
it's called DD on the spot. You got to be on the spot.
True.
Yeah.
You know what? It's been so long that I've been out of the loop with like
Mhm.
celebrities and show. I don't watch any TV anymore.
If you said you had enough time to watch TV, I'd call you a liar. So yeah, I believe that.
Who would I want to train? I feel like I would maybe pick like J Lo because
Mhm.
she already works out, so I would want to like take her to the next
Yep.
level. Or a Kardashian and really put them through a workout and
Yes.
really,
And
you
film it too,
know,
and get you on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Make that Kardashian money.
yeah,
Yeah, that would
make
be.
some
Yeah.
Kardashian money and
Hmm.
like actually shape them into,
Yeah.
you know,
That would be
real shape.
something. That would be the one thing with the Kardashians I actually would watch is seeing them cry going through like an actual workout. That would bring me so much joy in my life. But now, what is one item that you always need to have in your fridge?
um, water.
Water. Yep. Believe me.
Water, or you know what? I always have hummus
Hmm.
meals from Hummus Fit. They are always in my fridge. I don't eat anything. I mean, I go out to eat and stuff, and I'll eat
Hmm.
like donuts and bad things, but I only eat Hummus Fit.
Yeah.
Their food is amazing. They have so many choices. I don't get bored,
What
so it's awesome.
I highly recommend Hummus Fit to everyone then out there. I'll leave a link down below for all that stuff. But now, out of all of the people that follow you on Instagram, what would you think would be the most surprising thing that they would find out about you if they met you in person?
Well, then they would know my secrets. Uh, I've had a very interesting life.
Mhm,
I don't know how to put it. I don't really share a lot
mhm,
about my life
mhm,
on here. But I think that if I did, people would be shocked and
mhm,
probably more intrigued to actually engage and watch what I do.
mhm.
But it's not necessarily, it's not public for a reason.
Yeah. Oh no, no. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But for me, I mean, the one thing that I think would be happen is, I mean, how tall are you?
I'm actually really short. I'm 5 feet.
See, that is the answer that we get most common with everyone because you see these photos and you see these people sometimes the angles that they take where you're like, oh, she must be like 5'8", 5'9", but then you meet them in person and you're like, oh, nope, she's not. And I know once you said that like you came in at like 108 pounds, I was like, okay, yeah, there's no way. If she's like 5'8" and coming in at like 108 pounds, that is really, really
No.
going extreme. So yeah, that's definitely one of those things where I mean, for me, it's the opposite because they'd be like, oh wow, holy crap, you're tall. But yeah, so that's definitely one thing that I think a lot of people would be surprised about as well. So now, if you could change anything about the sport of bodybuilding, what would be the one thing that you would want to see changed?
Um, as far as competing goes,
It could
or
be competing, it could be anything just about the lifestyle, about what goes on. It doesn't really matter.
um, I would maybe change the standards of what bodybuilding has become for females. Um, I definitely think that it's gotten to a point with like figure and physique and a pro level where like it's so unnatural now that it's so hard to get anywhere
Yes.
in the sport without, having to do things that you don't want to do.
Hmm.
Like there's a limit and there's a line, and if you want to go to the top, like you got to cross it, and
Hmm.
it sucks.
Yeah. That's one thing that I hear about all the time. And again, for me, I'm just one of those people where it's like, if you want to do it, do it. But I mean, it's like, and I always think it should always be like a caution thing. Like if you want to smoke, there should be a thing on a smoke. Like there's the surgeon's warning where it's like this is what's going to happen. But if you want to do it, more power to you. I mean, some people. I mean, one of the things about bodybuilding that most people realize is that a lot of people are on it. So yeah, just and then people look at these bodies and they think that that's attainable without doing anything. So yeah, that's one thing that I mean I would definitely change about it as well. But now we go to the fun part of the questionnaire. So, what was the last TV show that you binge watched? Even though I know that you don't watch TV that much.
Um, I don't even remember. I binged watched so many shows right after I had the baby, because
Hmm.
like all you could do is stay home.
Hmm.
Um, but I used to smoke and watch like Arrested Development
Oh, yeah.
all the time or South Park.
Oh,
Like I
yes.
like shows that make me I like those shows that like engage you about
Hmm.
um serial killers and stuff, but I
Hmm.
really really like funny.
Yeah.
I like funny stuff. I
Well,
like to laugh.
I was gonna say, if you ever have the time, that new show on Netflix, You, that came out that everyone's raving about. So many of my guests recommended it for me that I finally sat down and watched it, and it was amazing. So I highly recommend that you go and check that out whenever you have the
Okay.
time. But now everyone has one. What is a guilty pleasure movie that you enjoy?
Um a guilt you know what? I don't have one.
What is your
I
favorite movie
don't
then?
I don't have one. I'm not a movie person. I'm not like a movie or TV person. I haven't gone to a movie in like years.
I mean, everyone, when you look at your Instagram and you realize that she looks the way that she looks, and she has kids and does with that, I mean, I think we can understand that she hasn't been to a movie and she doesn't watch too much TV. So I can vouch for her on that one at least. But now, so now, what is your favorite fashion trend of all time and least favorite fashion trend of all time?
Uh my favorite fashion trend is yoga pants,
Hmm.
like gym leggings. Thank God for them. I don't know how I would have made it through the last, 10 years
Hmm.
without leggings. Um, my least favorite is crop tops.
Hmm.
I hate crop tops. They're not practical. People don't have a six pack all year round. I mean, I used to, but I don't anymore. So now I'm part of the club that hates the crop tops. But I didn't even like them when I did have it
Yeah.
because it's like you eat two things in the day and then all of a sudden like your stomach's bloated and now or you go out to like a party or a club or
Hmm.
something or a day party and you have a crop top on and you're drinking and now you're like, ugh, I
Yeah.
gotta suck my stomach in this whole time. Like they're just terrible.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with that. For me, it's got to be flannel. Is probably gonna be my favorite, just because being in the Midwest where it's super super cold, and then also my least favorite. My dad ruined it in the late '90s. Fanny packs. I mean, don't get me
Okay.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. Women can rock fanny packs, but guys, yeah, it's like guys, come on, we gotta tone it down on that for sure. But now our last question of the questionnaire: if you could go back in time and talk to the 18-year-old version of yourself, what would be the best piece of advice you would give her?
Don't go to college.
Yeah.
That
Hmm.
would be, I would have saved, you know, thousands and
Yes.
over $20,000. Luckily, I don't have any school debt.
Hmm.
But it was just a big waste of my time and money. And if you don't know exactly what you want to do going into college, you're going to spin your wheels and spend your money and spend your time doing something like find something you like to do and figure out what you have to do to make that a success.
Hmm.
And then spend the 5 years that you spend going to school learning the trade that you want or making yourself, building something for yourself. Like my daughter, I don't care to send her to college. Like
Yeah.
I would like to
Unless
hopefully,
she wants to be like a doctor or something like that, where like you need to
right,
go to
if she
college.
wants
Yeah.
to, then
Yeah.
fine. But like I'm going to encourage her when she's 18, like I'll help you open, like, what do you like to do?
Hmm.
I will help you grow your own
Hmm.
business and teach her, what I should have been taught in school and I wasn't.
That is one thing that I wish they would change about the education system. I mean, they don't even teach you how to pay your taxes. They don't even teach you how to do any of that stuff. When you get to the real world, you're like a fish in open water, or like you're like a big
Well,
little
they
fish in a
don't
big pond.
the government doesn't want people. If everybody was successful,
That's true.
then who would work the 9 to 5s? Who would
That's
work all
true.
these jobs?
Yep.
They need people to just be
Lower class. Yeah.
compliant
Yeah.
and settle and like a couple of them end up being successful and doing other things,
Hmm.
but like in general, they don't want a bunch of geniuses running
Yeah.
around, you know?
That's
So,
true.
I'm a big conspiracy theorist
Well,
at
I
heart.
am too for some of them. Yeah, I am too for a good deal of them. Yeah, we could spend a whole time talking about JFK or stuff like that. Yeah,
Okay.
100%. But yeah, I mean, so we're done now with the questionnaire. So I'd like to ask these two final questions before we wrap things up to all of our guests. So if I were to talk to you a year from now today, where would you like to be at with your life and with your business and with bodybuilding? What would you like to accomplish in that year?
I would love to meet back with you in a year and say that like my classes are packed out and my business is like booming and that I had won my pro card.
Yeah.
And that I moved out of my house.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing. I'll be nice to you. Oh, can you give mommy 2 seconds so I can finish this and then I can give you my undivided attention? Sound good? Yeah. That's a good deal.
No, it's not. You think it's gonna be bad, but she's gonna make the show. When I have some of these highlights that I'll put on then during the show, when she comes in and talks, you have a very funny daughter. She might want to pursue comedy later on in life.
She is very funny. Not available to speak right now. Close the door. I'll talk to you in 1 second. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Again, everyone in the audience, we were blessed with seeing her daughter again. Yeah. So no worries. So yeah, again, like I could not say that enough. I mean, just doing that, and I think honestly, you're gonna win your pro card because honestly, just looking the way that you've looked in the past and still do now, I mean, you have an incredible leanness and physique. So honestly, I wish you nothing but the best. But now, lastly, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Shout out to my husband for always pushing me to be my best. Shout out to Hummus Fit for supplying me with endless opportunities and food and getting me ready for my shows. Shout out to my new supplement sponsor, MFit. And yeah, hopefully shout out to my business partner for being the best business partner. I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else. Her name is Amanda Arrigo. She has an awesome fitness page if you ever want to watch it.
Oh, I'll ask her if she wants to come on for sure. We could have her come on. She can also talk about, your business and everything else too.
Yeah, she has like a totally different, background and story and history than me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that'd be great. So again, everyone, go and give Lauren a follow. I'll leave a link to all of her stuff down below. Also, if you're in the area in New York, Apex Fitness, highly recommend you go and check it out. I mean, they have a program where you can buy 10 to 20 training sessions, and it's unlimited time frame. So you can show up, a year later and still get in those workouts. I mean, I highly, highly recommend that you go and check that out. And again, Lauren, we cannot thank you enough for being on. Again, you guys, go and give her a follow down below. Just looking at some of her Instagram videos, I mean, you will be inspired to get off the couch and stop eating those Twinkies and, go to the gym more. And Lauren, we wish you nothing but the best of luck. And I honestly, I mean it when I say I would love to have you on again in a year. And we hope that you have accomplished all of the goals that you want to right now in that year. But again, you guys, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot. Again, you guys, this is...
She opened it.
Oh, she got it open, everyone.
She got it open.
She's got brains.
She didn't go on the potty. She didn't listen. This is what having a 3-year-old is.
Yeah, well, I gotta say. But again, you guys, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.